Well, my clock says 7 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started here. These are the 4 cards we're going to be making tonight, and I'm going to put them aside and then just bring them back one at a time as we put them together. Okay, so the first card we're going to do tonight is Thankful for You. So we need our little card packet, kit number 1. And let's go ahead and look at what our ingredients are here. Not a whole lot to this, which is kind of nice sometimes. I should have had us all just hold our little pieces, our thin cut pieces out to do our stamping all at once, but I didn't do that. So let's start with stamping our pieces. What I like to do when I'm stamping on white is grab a little piece of colored cardstock to put underneath it so I can see what I'm stamping on a little better. But I'm going to start with this little berry piece here, and we'll be stamping that in papaya. And it's this little piece right here with the little berries on it. And I also like to have my little cush underneath. Well, I told myself I wasn't going to fumble around tonight, and look at this, I'm already fumbling around. Okay. Well, I stamped a little bit off the side there, but that's okay. So that's the papaya piece, and let's put our little shimmer trim pieces on the back of our banner piece first off. So the shimmer trim, there it is. Man, I thought I lost it. It was here a minute ago. I'm just going to measure a piece that's about the same size as that little piece that's going across the back. And now if I open this all the way, let me do something else here. I have a piece of black cardstock that I'm just going to put underneath this while we work on it so that you all can see it better. Let me start over again here. So if I open this all the way, unfold, 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 the shimmer trim is going to go in section number 2 and section number 4. And I think I've shared this little trick with getting the back off the shimmer trim before, but if I hadn't, let's just go ahead and revisit that. You might notice I just put a little bit of adhesive right there on the corner of my paper. And I hope this is all in view here. And I'm going to put both of these little pieces of shimmer trim that I just cut right on top of that adhesive. It's just across one end. Then I'm going to take my piercing tool and lift up the shimmer trim. And it leaves, probably can't see this because it's clear, but it leaves the little backing behind there and makes it very easy to move. Then we're going to take that piece of shimmer trim and put it across section 2, and take the second piece of shimmer trim. Yes, those vaccines, I am so happy to have mine. It's hard to remind myself that I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but it's true, I'm not. Okay, so we've got our shimmer trim on sections 2 and 4. Now the opposite side, if we fold it back up, the opposite sides are going to be where our words are. And what's going to happen here is, let's put the shimmer trim side down. The first word on our card is clear to the right. So we're reading from right to left here. And we're going to go on the first far right place, skip a section, then the center, skip a section, and all the way back to the far left. So let me just, I'm going to straighten those folds out a little bit. And the first word we need here is thankful. And we're going to be using our Harbor or whatever color you have if you don't have Harbor. I'm going to pull this a little bit closer to me, and I'm sorry if my head gets in the way, but I need to be right over things when I stamp them. So there's thankful. And the next one we're going to do is for. So pull off for. I'm going to just put this on my little 1-inch block. And there's 4. And U. Okay, all the way over to the far left piece, and take a note of where your score line is so that you can center this. And there we go. Now, when we fold these back up, it should say thankful for you, just like so. And that's all the stamping on card number 1. So we'll go ahead and start putting things together. Now, if you want this to be exactly like it says on our instructions, we do have the measurements down here. So the top corner of the darker piece is 1/4 inch from the left of our bit card base and 1/2 inch from the top. So I'm going to just use my little squares here, and 1/4 inch from the left and 1/2 inch from the top is about right there. So there's 1/4 inch and there's 1/2 inch. And then on the bottom, nope, let's go the other way. The right hand corner is up to 1/4 inch. So if I put that there where my first dot is, I can see that that's where the 1/4 inch is. So we'll go ahead and put some adhesive on this and apply it to our page. And hitting the 2 dots right there. Now our stripe piece, oops, wrong instruction there. Our stripe piece is down 3/4 inch and 1/4 inch in. And this one is the same distance in. It's going to be straight on the page. So 3/4 inch down. Boy, I lose things fast. 3/4 inch down, 1/4 inch in. Let's get this measured up again. And down to the bottom, 1/4 inch in is about right there. Okay, add some adhesive to the back of that. Don't you love this pumpkin paper? It is so pretty, and I love that they used the Harbor color in the background. It's not quite black, it's not, I think it's more of a dark blue gray or something, but it's my new favorite neutral color, I think. And there's our second piece. Then we're going to put our zip strip piece. I need to put this a little bit closer to me. That goes 1 inch up from the bottom. And clear over to the side of the card. So there's 1 inch up, all the way to the side. Side wallet that goes over the full inch there. Now, I get to show you how I think is the easiest way, at least for me, to attach this, because this is what happens, and it's a little bit frustrating. So, first thing I'm going to do is turn it upside down, and you'll see right away that you have 2 full strips across the back. So I'm going to put my regular adhesive on those strips, but before I do that, I'm going to use a little bit of the thin 3D foam tape, and I'm going to put just small pieces, one on the top near the dovetailed end, one on the bottom near the dovetail end, and then in between these 2 strips that go across, I'm going to put one little piece right in there. So I'm going to just need 3 little pieces here. They don't need to be very big at all. And I'll tell you what, on the one in the center, I don't even take the tape off the back. I let it just bounce a little bit when it's attached and do its own thing. And I think it gives it just a little extra lift and a little kind of movement in the card. So I like that. And then, like I said, we've got one near each dovetail end. Now for this strip, I'll just use the tape runner and run some tape across that. Alrighty. You still kind of have to have octopus hands here to make it all work out okay. But here we go. We're going to off-center this a little bit to the left of the orange piece. And I think what I have found to be the easiest is to just kind of concentrate on the center bar, put that down, and then push the 2 pieces that you have the glitter trim on, because, or shimmer trim, because that's the pieces that we put the glue on in the back. And then just fold the other 2, oops. Let's take off the adhesive backing on those 2. Didn't take it off the center one, and that's okay, because you've got lots of other little pieces holding it down there. And just fold those over and gently push them down. And the last thing we'll do is add our little berry piece. And you know what I'm going to do? It doesn't show this on the cards, but I kind of like having a little bit of color on those berries. This is the light coral and the tri-blend markers. And I'm just going to use a little bit of the next shade on one side of those berries. I think it just makes them pop a little bit. So let's put just a little tiny piece of foam tape on the back of this. And what I like to do with these pieces is a little bit of the regular tape runner on the stem so that it looks like it's coming up off the page. So the stem is fastened down onto the paper itself, and the berries are up on the card. Now, this is what is in the kit, and I will show you what I've done with the same pieces. And in this case, the same stamp set. Now, it's probably the only card that I used all the same stamps on it, but here we go. This is another version of this card using the Shimmer Trim, the same striped piece, the same pumpkin piece, and I used sentiments off the same stamp set, sending thanks to you. What I did was I switched out the those are acorns, aren't they? I switched out the acorns and put them in the back where the Shimmer Trim is on the other one, and then I used the Shimmer Trim over here on the cards. So there's nothing additional needed at all for this particular card, but it's all the same pieces that we used for the first card, and yet completely different looks there. I hope you like that. I'm going to put these all aside, and we will start next on card number 2, which is giving thanks. Let's get out our kits. This one just seems like there's not enough pieces to it, doesn't it? All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is put our patterned piece at the bottom of our page, and then our papaya piece next up from that. And when I'm putting something on my card, I like to open it up and bend it backwards a little bit so that it stays nice and flat there. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting my words tonight. I'm trying real hard not to, so we'll see if I can do a little better from here on. Okay, so here's the pumpkin piece. And then our papaya piece looks like it's light side up, so we'll put our tape on the dark side. And I am finding that I have no use for the numbers that I wrote on the back of these pieces, so I will probably not do that the next time I put a kit together. I think it's easy enough to open, you know, you've got them separated, open up your little envelope and see where things go without having to read a number on the back. Okay, then we have papaya, I believe, stamped across the top border here with our little dotted stamp. Now this kit calls for having papaya and paprika. And I'll tell you, it would be very easy to have just one of those pads or a similar pad and do second generation stamping to get both colors out of one pad. So here's my papaya. And I'm going to just line the dots up with this edge of the border right there. And next we need to have the harbor, and we're going to put giving thanks above the dots here. I have enough, big enough block there. Giving thanks. I'm going to put these both on one stamp so I don't have to figure out where I want to stamp them after I stamp the first one. And what I'll do, when I put them both on one stamp, I like to stamp it first onto my scratch paper so that I know that I like how it looks. So that comes out very nicely. The spacing's good. to my card base. I did it very, very close to the edge on my sample. I think I'm going to go in just a little bit this time, maybe about a 1/2 inch in. There we go. And next we need these 2 stamps. We're going to do one right on the card itself, and the other one we're going to do on our die cut. So let's go ahead and do the die cut first. And we're doing these with the paprika. So there's the one that's going to pop up. Oops. And this one will go right on the card next to giving. Oh, that's the wrong one. Of course, that is a fun way to make a new card, is just mix up the stamps and voila, you have a whole new design going on. Okay, so here's giving thanks with the second. Let's put a little bit of foam tape on the first leaf. And this would be another option here would be to color these in like we did with the berries on the other card. We'll let that guy just go in sideways. Excuse me, I got to move my chair in. And next is a little bit or a lot of our shimmer trim across. And you can measure it to 5.5 inches and cut it on your trimmer, or I like to just cut a little bit more than actually is necessary and then trim it after I've put it onto the card. I'm going to use my no-fail method of getting the backing off here, and we'll just stretch that across right down the center. And then trim it from both ends. And there we have it. This is card number 2. And my card number 2, I used the stamp of the month from last month on the thankful and stamped that right on the card. I did a second stamp of it and trimmed it out by hand and added that on top with foam tape. And I just did the one leaf there. Let me show you. This was the September stamp of the month, which sadly is no longer available. I hope this isn't glaring. But you can see here the thankful has, on the stamps itself, has that double shadow. So I stamped it once on the card, and then I stamped it in the papaya. That's the papaya. I stamped it first in Harbor, and then cut those out individually and put them on there. Now the stamp of the month is no longer available through my website, but if anyone's interested in it, I could probably come up with a copy from another consultant. So anyway, it was a very nice stamp set. I like that one a lot. So that's card number 2. let's put that aside. Card number 3 is next up. And this is Sending Warm Hugs. I like this one a lot. Of course I like them all a lot. Now wait a minute. That said card number 3, but it has no pieces in it. Sorry for the delay here, but I need to grab another card number 3. That was probably the one that I made my second sample out of, because I looked at it today and realized all I had was the pieces that the decorative pieces, and I didn't have them on a card yet. And I was thinking, so what happened to that card? I think I just found the answer to what happened to that card. Aha! This looks much better. Okay. And it's really nice when that number is on the back, because that tells me which side's the front, but I don't know if I want to spend time doing that. Let's go ahead and get our stamping done first this time. We're using the, not the papaya, we're using the paprika. So we've got this very, what do you call that? Bigger leaf, very bigger leaf. And we're stamping onto the patterned paper in this case. There's the paprika again. And just in case I stamp off of it, I'm going to turn that back side up. Okay, and then the smaller maple-ish looking leaf. There we go. Oh, I'm not done with that, am I? Next we're going to do the Sending Warm Hugs. And just like the other time, we're going to start with the first word clear to the right and the last word clear to the left. And what's still here? Sending is first. And center it the best you can, left to right, between your fold line and the end. Warm will be the next stamp. And this is going to go skip a section, and it's going to go right in the middle there. I really like this banner piece a lot. I can see using it on a lot of different cards, or in scrapbooks too as well. And hugs all the way to the far left would be hugs. One of the things I particularly like about this banner piece is that our double-sided cardstock, with one side being lighter than the other, it really helps the whole thing pop without having to do anything extra to it. There we go. Now I'm going to put this away. No, I'm not. Let's put that aside for a minute, and we are going to grab our white piece of cardstock. And we need our dotted stamp back again. And we're going to do a lot of stamping with it this time. Now this is a place where I really realized that it would be very, very easy to do the first 2 rows in paprika or a dark terracotta sort of color, and then do second generation stamping for the next 2 rows. My instructions, however, are 2 different stamp sets, or ink pads, I'm sorry. And so we're going to do the first one with the paprika, which is the darker of our 2 colors. And again, let's give me a little piece of paper here so I can have a good visual of where the bottom of the white paper is. I really like this card, how it just seems to fade out as you go across. We're going to do 2 rows, and I'm going to offset the dots from the bottom row of the stamp to the top row of what's already stamped, because as you can see on the paper, that's how they are. The offset is, the dots are in between the already stamped dots. You can notice here, you see, I obviously put my stamp down a little harder on the left side, a little lighter on the right side, and I'm okay with that. I think it looks kind of cool. So just remember, there are never any mistakes in stamping. There's only opportunities to embellish or something that you could refer to as a happy accident. And I guess I call that one a happy accident. Okay, back to papaya. And this is going to be 2 rows of papaya right above the paprika. And it doesn't look, if you have these stamp pads, doesn't look like a lot of difference between the 2 colors, but once it dries a little, you can tell. And when I say dries a little, that's like, you know, an hour or so out. It's amazing how long they stay kind of damp, I guess, on the paper. Or maybe we could think of it as curing. It hasn't cured yet. So then the last color we're adding here is the shortbread. And that's another new color, and I like it a lot. Again, it's another neutral color that I can just see myself using a lot of this. All right, last 2 rows. To be honest, when I was reading the instructions for this, when I first saw the card, I thought, isn't that cool how it just kind of fades out? And then when I started reading the instructions and saw that it went from papaya to shortbread, I was really amazed, because I didn't notice that there was actually that much difference on those 2 colors on the card itself until I read about it. So that's me being very alert again. All right. Now I think we have all of our stamping done for this card. We have the banner piece, we have the leaves, and we have the card itself. So let's go ahead and start with layering these pieces. We want to layer the light side of the peach onto the light side of papaya, like that. And I just try to, rather than trying to eyeball the whole thing when it's down, I figure if I make sure that all these edges, all these little margins on 3 sides at one end are the same, it means it's going to be the same at the other end. Didn't quite make it exactly right, but I'm okay with that. Now this piece will go on centered on top of the peach. So are you curious what I've done to do a different version of this card or a different card using the same pieces? What could Betsy have done with that? Okay. Now, we'll go ahead and put this onto our card base next. Using the same method of eyeballing the margins on 3 sides. I'm going to do it with the top edge left to right, because I think the bottom edge, if it's a little off, is going to make less of an impact on me than the left to the right edge. Okay? So there we go with that. Now we're going to do the same thing that we did on the other card with our banner. So let's go ahead and fold it into our little spiral, and we're going to put the front side face down, and I'm going to add 3 pieces of foam tape again, 1 by each of the dove-eared ends, and 1 in the middle there. And then I am going to do a little bit of adhesive roller right across those 2 bars across the very back. And to begin with, I'm not going to pull any of the backs off of the 3D foam tape. I'm going to just kind of center this maybe a little bit more to the top than the bottom. Oh, mine's not quite as scrunchy as that one is. Maybe that's a result of the double stacking when I was doing the die cutting. Okay, the reason I'm not putting these down yet is because I want to cut those 2 pieces and place them underneath there. So let's go ahead and do that. Does it tell us how big to make those? It says embellish with shimmer trim. It does not give us a length, so we will just go ahead and do a little dovetail on each of these 2 pieces. Okay. I'm going to do the longer one first and angle it out toward the left. Now, I don't want it to show in this area right there, so I'm probably going to end up fastening that down a little bit higher. Whoops. Well, a little bit higher than, yeah, maybe not, than it's actually showing. Now we're going to do the short one angled off to the right, like so. And now would be a good time to go ahead and take the back off of this and plop it down. I'm just going to force mine up a little bit since my whole banner is a little bit unsprung, I guess. We can go ahead and put down the top piece now. And let's add some foam tape just to the outer tip of the leaves on these two pieces. And I'm going to do the tape runner on the opposite end. And then we're going to lift this here a little bit and slide it under. There we go. And that is our card number 3. Oh my gosh, this is like just whizzing by tonight. Is that whizzing by? Or is that just me? And again, I think I did on this one. I took the backing off the foam tape on that center piece. I did not on this one. And like I said, it just gives it a little more of a, kind of a little oomph, a little bit of motion to it. And I like that. And shall we look at what I did? This is my second card. It doesn't look a whole lot different, but I did change the card direction from horizontal to vertical. And I did my stamping vertical as well. I used the same 3 colors with 2 rows of each. Now what I did on this back piece, instead of centering them all together, I took the peach and put the 2 right hand pieces of the peach and the papaya. I also flipped them to the dark side, but that's neither here nor there. So I put the 2 right hand edges together. So you have the darkness of the papaya around the top, left hand side and bottom, but not on the right hand side. Then the stamped white piece, I did the same thing, but I went to the complete left hand side of the peach. So you don't see any peach on the left hand side, but you see it across the top, thicker down the right, and again across the bottom. And it just kind of gives it a different feel to it. Without really thinking about it, it feels like darkness going into lightness. The words that I used on this one are not the same words that are in the set, so I did excuse me, I did use a different stamp set. This is also in the current catalog, and it's called Autumn is Calling. And what I did on this is I took this sentiment right here, leaves are falling, autumn is calling, and I masked it off, so I've got leaves are falling, autumn is calling. And then along with that, I used, did I put those away? Our autumn loose sequins on here. And you got some of these in the bonus card. The looks like they are all leaves, and I think it's probably like 95% leaves, but there are some, the problem is the leaves go to the top. There are some really pretty sequins in here, this dark copper color and a lighter kind of platinum gold color, and lots of little tiny ones. So I really like this card as well. Oh, and I did use the Shimmer Trim inside the banner again because I thought that was really pretty. I like that a lot. Also, I don't know if you can see this very well, but there are like these little diamond pieces here that are also in this mix. So these mixes are made, I think, with the intention that we use them on shaker cards. But of course, nothing is made just for one purpose, and I really enjoy the challenge, I guess, or just the fact that I have these to use in different ways, because these are really pretty. And you all know how much I love autumn and all the colors and everything that go along with it. Okay, now we're going to start our 4th card, We'll see if I have all the pieces together for this one. If we don't, I might have to check myself in somewhere. Oh, good, we do. Okay, fourth card. Warm hugs for you. I'm sorry, I meant to put that up first. So we have the two pieces that are your background and a little tiny piece here for across the bottom and lots of pieces to stamp. So let's start with our stamping, but before we do that, let's go ahead and add this little piece of trim onto the bottom. Let's see what our instructions give us for a 1/4 inch up from the bottom of the card base. So let's go ahead and put that on, and then that will give us a line for where we want to stamp our dotted stamps. Now I do have a mat for running my tape on, so I don't have it all over my workspace, but you can tell how well that's working out for me. Okay, this again is in the shortbread. The yellowish color would be also very nice in the other two colors, or even the harbor as well. The other two colors that I was referring to, paprika and papaya, not just any random two colors. So we are going to go ahead and put it on with the shortbread. And let's see what we have next. We have warm hugs for you, which we will stamp onto these two pieces. There's warm. Okay. And here's hugs. I use my lines on my paper here for the bottom of the letters, just to kind of try to make them line up a little bit. Okay, and this is a lot of the reason why I did not have people doing their stamping in advance, is because of the parts on the cards. Probably could have gone ahead and just said to stamp all the die cut pieces, but oh well. Okay, warm hugs. Right across the center there. And it's my U. And my 4. Nope, that didn't work so well. Let's line these up just the way I did the other ones. See my little lines right through the acrylic stamps. When we first came out with acrylic stamps, oh my goodness, how many years ago was that? That was a lot of years ago. A lot of years ago. I wasn't that thrilled. I like my wood stamps. But I'll tell you, I am sold now. My For You is not very well positioned on there, but that's how it's going to be. And then we have this little piece that has the acorn on it. And then this larger whooshy piece. There we go. Here's the whooshy piece. That is an actual word. Just want to make sure everyone's aware that whooshy is an actual word. Okay, there's that one. And my little acorn. I haven't been taking care of my pieces here as well as I should have. There we go. I was never an obedient child that picked up my toys after I played with them, so it's carried over into my crafting life. And it means I spend a lot of time looking for things that I shouldn't have to be spending time looking for. And our last leaf is going to be done with the Harbor color again. And it is this guy. Sorry, I probably should have marked my notes to refer to the stamps and the die cuts with the numbers I assigned them in the cutting diagram. There we are. Okay. I think we've got all the pieces stamped now. So first thing we're going to do, or the next thing we're going to do, is layer these two pieces. And we are using, again, the light side of the papaya. I was kind of disappointed when this kit came out because the Pumpkin Spice paper pack has some really pretty colorful trees in it, and I really wanted that paper to be in this card kit. And it's not. So maybe before the end of the month we can come up with something else using some of that pretty tree paper. Now we'll go ahead and place this on our card base, and I'm going to do the same amount of space around each of the three sides there. And this one doesn't matter where the bottom of it comes because it's not at the edge of anything anyway. If it's important to you, make sure your pumpkins are all facing upward. Oh my goodness. This is too funny. I just realized that this piece is almost identical to this piece. I've got the two little acorns there and the pumpkin there and those. Isn't that funny? Okay. Warm Hugs for You is flat on here. And it's just, the For You is just like overlapping a little bit so that you have them apart at one side and together at the other. So let's go ahead and put Warm Hugs down first at a little angle. If you want some measurements on this, on where to put it, I will grab them. This says, it doesn't say, it says this is 1/4 inch here, 3/8 of an inch up here, and the Warm Hugs are just hanging out in the middle on our instructions. So we're going to just eyeball this. And we'll eyeball it For You. Oops. Before you put that down all the way, let's get some Shimmer Trim for underneath here. You know what? I did pop that. I'm not going to worry about it now. Okay, so this is however long that For You is, which is 3 inches. So we need 3 inches of Shimmer Trim. And let's get the back pulled off of that. I'm going to, actually I'm going to put it back down on a piece of that. I'm going to just lay this down on top of it and then pull it back up. Or maybe I'll do it the other way. Dang, this is not easy. Okay. For you is going right there. I'm going to press down the top of it, but not the bottom of it. And I'm going to use my piercing tool to lift it up and slide this under. Just a little ways, maybe. Or maybe I will just slide it up against it. Man, how did I do that first one? That's the problem with doing these so far in advance. And I would have presented this class a lot sooner had I not left the state. But boy, was that a good vacation. Okay. I still want mine over that a little bit, so I'm going to do this. And then we're going to add tape to the back of these pieces as well. And I think what I've done here is I did a little bit of thin foam tape on the dark stamped leaf. And we're just going to go ahead and put him down right away, like so. And then I used some of my thicker foam tape on the other pieces. You may recognize this is foam tape left over from a shaker card, and I use it all the time. Okay, on this piece we're going to do, this is the, keep wanting to call it a walnut, but I know it's an acorn. This little acorn is going to have the tape runner at the stem end and the thicker foam tape at the nut end. And we're just going to put him down like that. And this guy is going to have the thicker foam tape as well. So let's give him a few pieces here. I think part of him is going to overlap there, so I'm not going to put tape on this edge. And there we go. And that, in spite of all my issues with the shimmer trim, that is card number 4. Now my version, my alternate version of card number 4, I've actually done 2 of here. And let me show you first the stamp set that I use, because it is the current stamp of the month. And I think it's so adorable. Back to the catalog. This is called Wildflower Friendship, and I just love this owl. That's the owl and the fox and the hedgehog. I think they are just so cute. And so this is what I used on the next card. I actually did two. I'm going to show you. And again, using all the same pieces, just different stamps. So the first one is the owl, and I had a lot of fun with him. I went back to a lot of our sequins and loose embellishments, and I just blinged, maybe I should call it a her, blinged her up because she just needed something really fancy. So you can see here I've got the papaya in the background, and I did do with the stamp set that's included in the kit some random stamping on that piece of tone on tone. Here's our shimmer trim and our 3 pieces there. I did the shortbread stamped down the left side. Of course, I changed the orientation here and changed out a different sentiment. So that's the first one I did using all the same pieces. I think this would be real cute too with pumpkins or a horn of plenty, anything else that's, yes, I will post photos. Anything else that is fall, autumn themed. And here's the fox. I used the fox for this one. I kept the same card pieces basically in the same place, and just showing you how different it will look using different stamp set on it. Now this little fox, I went ahead and did some light coloring with my tri-blend markers, and then I hope this is showing up. I did a lot of oh my goodness, what are those things called? Stickles. A lot of little stickles in there just to give him some pretty little glitterness. And I used the shimmer brushes on the die cut pieces. I used 2 pieces of the shimmer trim onto one of these white pieces, and then I cut the other white piece down narrower for a little note, pasted that on top, and then did the dovetail cut on that. Isn't she adorable? I love these so much. Okay, now let's do our bonus card. And our bonus card looks like this, sending warm hugs to you. So we're using only the stamps that are in your kit, and I believe I should have probably added this on. I believe I used rosemary, which is the paper here. The yellowish is our shortbread, and Harbor for the inks. And you get some of those fun sequins here. I have a feeling my daughter has my rosemary ink pad. Dang. Okay, we might try something different on this one. Alright, so we have our banner. We have little pieces for inside the banner. Rosemary, shortbread, and a white piece. And I am going to go hunt down that rosemary ink pad because we need it. Okay. let's get started here with the stamping parts. We can start with stamping in rosemary or a complementary green that you may have on hand. We will start with the banner. I'm going to use the back of my rosemary piece to highlight my banner. I'm also going to go ahead and make sure it's folded so I can see easily where the end of each section is. So here we have the sending. And as we stated before, this is going to start on the far right of the banner. We're going to read from right to left here. They're sending. Warm hugs. Line this up. This will go onto the center section. One section in between the sending and the warm hugs. And lastly, we need to you. And to you will be all the way to the left. Okay. That will be all that's done on the banner. I'm going to switch to the harbor color and the dots. Putting a darker color underneath here. So we're going to do stamp two rows of harbor at both ends of our card here. Okay, there's one end. Maybe I should say we're going to stamp 4 rows because we're just stamping 2 rows every time we put the stamp down. So I hope that's been clear. I never even considered that it might not be. Okay, there is our harbor. Now back to the rosemary. I really like this rosemary. It's almost a gray green. It's just very different from a lot of the really brighter greens that we've had. And like so many of the other colors, when you bump it up against different things, it looks different. And to add to that, I think it's almost the same color that my daughter just painted her living room out there in Oregon. I'll have to send her this card and ask her if it matches her living room walls. Okay, and there's the rosemary, and last will be the shortbread. Whew. Wow, I was getting rosemary all over the stamp block. I'm sure glad I didn't mess it up and get it on the paper. Okay. So you can probably tell that I liked this technique that they did in the kit with the dots kind of fading from one color, dark color, to another lighter color. Because if I didn't like it, I probably wouldn't be repeating it on this card. All right, so that's what we did with the dots, and I have one more thing to do. Well, I think I used a different stamp on the card, but the original card. But I'm going to use this little one. Boy, you can't see this on here. Sorry guys, I'm a mess right now. So this is the stamp I'm going to use right now. This is the one I used originally, but I am going to go back and use this one. And I'm going to stamp in the same yellowish color, the shortbread, just random stamp in this open area that's left. The random stamping is turning your stamp between each time you use it so that you don't have all your stamps going in the same direction. Of course, you may want them to if it's something that's particularly needs to be. Okay, so there's our stamping all done. Let's go ahead and fix our banner now. We're going to need these two little dark pieces. I'm going to turn the banner over and tape them in to the second and fourth sections. So let's just put a little bit of glue on them. And then when we fold this back over again, you should have something that looks like so. Isn't that cool? I love that so much. Okay, let's go ahead and start layering our papers. Looks like I used the dark side of both of these. You're free to use the dark or light side. So, let's see, dark side. So first I'm going to just add the shortbread colored cardstock to the rosemary colored cardstock. And then the white piece that we stamped on top of that. And at this point there is no up or down unless you feel that one end of your stack looks nicer than the other. So let's go ahead and attach this to our card base. Okay. And using the same method we've used every other time, I'm going to turn this over and put a thin piece of foam mounting tape. You can tell the longer we get into this workshop, the more disorganized I'm becoming. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not making a mess of things. Hope you're able to follow me along, or follow along with me, whichever that should be. Okay. Now this time I have, that's funny how every time I fold this it comes out a little bit different. This time I have a little more less actually space in between those, and the backing started to come off. And since I do have less space there, I really don't want that backing off. So let me see if I can reattach it and then shows. Okay. And then we'll use the tape runner and get these guys into place. Now I am just really puzzled how every one of these is coming up a little bit different than the ones before. Okay, so I like this one better because it fills up more of the card. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and play with our loose sequins and get them added. What I did on this one was I added the leaves to one end of each of the banner, but I think this time I'm just going to do two. I'm going to put one here and one here. And then do a few little sequins up in that area. I think I've got one copper colored one up high, and then two of the goldish colored ones. And we'll do 3 more down here below. Got the copper colored one in the middle this time. Now you should have some of these left over if you want to do a little more bling than I've done here. And I think I also put some things in the center there. My glasses are okay. So I've used the little diamond looking pieces in the centers of some of these. Looks like I'm going to need more glue in the centers if I'm going to do that. I was hoping the glue just like pushed its way through, but it did not. not enough to put anything on them anyway. Okay. So here's one of the little diamond pieces. It's another just very small sequin. Let's use one of these little ball pieces. They may not be so good if we're planning to mail these. I don't have any more diamond pieces, so let's keep going with the smaller sequins. I think I'm going to add one there. Just on top of the leaf, just for the heck of it. Oops. Okay, there we go. That is your bonus card. I hope you like it. I enjoyed designing it for you. I enjoyed all the designing tonight. So thanks for joining me. Have fun putting the rest of your cards together. And yes, I will get those alternative cards posted, if not tonight, first thing tomorrow. But I'm going to try to get it done tonight, okay? See you next time. Bye-bye.